Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. It is a beautiful early December morning here in Southwest Florida. It is 79 degrees at 11:30. I guess it still is the morning. What I want to do today is give you a little bit of a follow-up on Maikai and the Maikai challenge, and then show you some of the new blooms that are in my garden. Things are looking pretty good. A lot of my orchids my cattleyas are coming into bloom. I'm really excited. I'm happy to be here. I'm just really excited that everything is looking so good. And what I'd like to do is share a little bit of that with you. So what I want to do is start out with the Maikai challenge, and I presented this to you before in an earlier video, and the idea behind the Maikai challenge was to challenge the breeding group that I formed here at my affiliated AOS chapter, and I challenged them to make crosses with either Maikai or Brassavola nodosa. And my Maikai is right here. The Maikais, and I chose Maikai because there's so many, even on this smaller plant, there's so many blooms on the plant, and it's just really prolific. And I've got a few plants, and what I have, and I'll show you this up close, and I'll get behind the camera in a little bit. I've made some crosses onto this Maikai, and I've got some capsules that are starting to form, and I want to show you what that looks like and show you the blooms. They're smaller, they're slightly fragrant, but there's just so many of them. So again, that's the advantage of using Maikai as the female plant and the female flower, as there are just so many blooms that you can cross onto. So with crossing, you can harvest pollinia from a number of the different orchids and store them, and these all bloom at the same time. But I've got so many stored pollinia from all my different cattleyas that I've been going a little crazy crossing on to Maikai. So that's pretty exciting, and I want to show you this plant a little bit up close to show you what it looks like. What I also want to show you is this guy right here. And I've shared this with you previously, but that was before this plant came into full bloom. And this is Boothlee Venice, and this is a really nice, prolific plant in the Cattleya Alliance. This has 4 flower spikes on it, and again, it's not a huge plant, not a small plant either. I picked this up at a orchid bingo event about 1.5 years ago, and there was 1 bloom spike, or maybe a couple on it earlier. Now there's 4 bloom spikes, and each of the bloom spikes has between 6 to 8 flowers on it. So it really is putting on a little bit of a show. There's fragrance associated with it, and it's a great plant. Again, I'll get behind the camera and show you what these flowers look like. But the reason I'm highlighting it, well, there's 2 reasons that I'm highlighting it. One of those, oh, I just saw another bloom spike. Look at that, right in there. 5. This one isn't even close to flowering, so there'll be delayed flowering on that. Anyway, the reason that I'm highlighting this is it's in full bloom. It smells just awesome. But this Boothlee Venice is a Maikai cross. So Maikai is a parent of this guy, and there's some similar markings on the flowers. The flowers are comparable in size, but the plant is huge, much more fragrance with this. So this was crossed with a Cattleya, and that is what happens when you do this is you can generate some big nice flowers. And again, these are pretty common. So I was excited when I won this at an orchid bingo event, like I said, 1.5 years ago. But the other thing is that I went to a local Home Depot and I saw this guy, this same plant in Home Depot. So they're pretty common, and there's a lot of they're because they are so prolific, they're so colorful, so easy to grow, and the fragrance associated with them. So I saw this plant. They're common, and there's a lot of them around. What I'm hoping to do, what I'm hoping that we can do through our breeding group, is create another comparable plant to Booth Lee using Maikai as a parent, similar to Booth, to this plant here. We can make another plant, maybe bigger flowers, maybe more vigorous. We'll see what happens with it. But this is a really good example of the type of progeny that you can get from a nice starting plant, but you can get bigger, more colorful flowers and much more fragrance if the right cross is made and if the plant is handled properly. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an overview of that. What I want to do now is show you the Maikai a little closer up and show you some of the capsules that are starting to form. I also want to show you Booth Lee Venice close up, and so you can see really how amazing the flowers on this look and how prolific the flowers are. And then I want to end up showing you some of my other blooms that are coming. There are one that was a little bit of a disappointment that I'll share with you, and I'll explain why it was a little bit of a disappointment. And then I've got some other ones that are just really looking pretty good, and some other things I want to share with you as well. All right, so let me get behind the camera and show you these guys close up, and then show you some of the orchids that I have blooming in my garden. Okay, and we are back. So this here you can see some of the flowers on this Maikai plant right here. And so this will give you also a little bit of an indicator of what kind of proliferation and what kind of flower production you can get. The tags there, waving in the breeze, those are from the crosses that I make. But this plant right now has 3 bloom spikes that are open. If we go around here, you can see, maybe not well, another bloom spike there, and then another bloom spike down in there with not as many flowers on it. So I think it's probably not going to get more flowers on it, too many more flowers blooming at one time, as shown right here. But it's a nice flower. There's some nice fragrance to it, but the main thing is it is just very prolific, and so it's useful for lots of crosses. The plant will grow rapidly, and well, these are in pots. They grow on trees, and they'll get huge, and you can do quite a bit with them. What I want to show you now, I don't know if I'll be able to show you that well, is some of the crosses that I did. So if you look here, this is a flower that's open and it looks nice. All right, there's a flower behind it. There, you can see it right there. The right in the middle is where the capsule is going to form. But the flower itself is already collapsed right there. And this is a good sign. The place that will form the capsule that is in the back there, it keeps on wanting to focus the area behind, but where the capsule is going to form is right back here. And in this capsule that you can barely see, right there, that capsule that area it's really thin, and the capsule really hasn't started to form yet, but it's still green in color. So that's a good sign. As we move on to, let's take a look at this group of flowers right here. And so this flower that's right in the middle of that group, it's wilted, and that means that flower is spent and it was either pollinated successfully or not. But when you look at where the capsule will form, which is right behind that collapsed flower, that looks that's really light in color. So that probably is a cross that's not going to make it. I don't know. We'll have to see, but that's just not a good sign. So that may be a failed cross. And then if we go over to this group of flowers, I made a cross on. You can see these flowers are still blooming, and they're still nice. And then there's flower right there that's wilted. And the area that's going to form the capsule that's right behind that spent flower looks pretty good. So that may be a successful, coming from that flower right there, that may be a successful capsule that's just starting to form. As you move on farther, moving on to this is another Maikai plant. And there is, behind that, again, you can't see it that well. I'm trying to move things out of the way a little bit, but they're right here that my finger is on. There is another capsule that is starting to form. So you can see the spent flower that's right now in the middle of the field, and then you can see the, maybe or maybe not, you can see the capsule that's starting to form behind it. So it's getting a little thick. And then finally, if we go over here, this is a capsule that's been forming for a couple of months. So this was a successful cross right here, and this capsule is getting pretty big. The capsules on these plants don't take us quite as long to form, but this one is a few months along, so it's looking pretty good. The other ones are only just a few weeks long, and I'll continue, as these plants are blooming, I continue to go through my Paullinia collection and try to make some additional crosses on some of these. And again, there's more flowers that are coming out on this plant and other plants, so that I'll be able to make some additional crosses. All right, so that's it for the Maikai, shown right here, and Booth Lee is right here. So as we take a look at Booth Lee, you may see some of the same characteristics and features in this plant that you did in Maikai. It makes sense because it is progeny. So you can see again multiple flowers. The flowers, you know, the petals tend to be a lot thicker than the Maikai, but you've got a lot of the same patterning, especially, you know, in the lip of this plant, but really a nice flower, a little bigger and fuller overall, and some but similar markings. So this is a nice plant, but you can see some of the similar features. So you've got multiple flowers per spike, which is desirable. This is not quite in full bloom because you can see at the end, or maybe you can't see, there's another bloom that's about to open. But as we move around, you can see how nice the flowers are on this plant. It really is a pretty plant and a nice flower. I just wish the flowers were a little bigger, but that's me. Taking a look at, as we move down to another group of flowers on this plant, and again, you can just really nice markings on the flower. This spike is pretty much in full bloom, and these look nice. And then moving over here, we have just more. Again, really nice flowers here, multiple flowers per spike, and again, I like, there's fragrance. So a nice plant. Oh, one thing I do want to show you, and I want to go around here. Oops, sorry. I want to go around to this side of the plant again. And when I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but when I was making the video, I reached down and touched the middle of this flower, and you may or may not be able to see it. So there's another bloom spike coming out of here. I can't tell from where I am now because I got sun in my eyes, and I can't really see well if I've got this in focus. But there's more blooms coming out of this plant. So, you know, the blooms on this plant are just great. And again, what we're going to try to do with the Maikai challenge is create something comparable or hopefully better than this, even though that might be shooting kind of high. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to show you some of the other blooms, new blooms that I'm excited about in my collection, and we'll go from there. Okay, and we're back, and this is This is a new bloom for me. I've had this plant for a couple of years, and this is a bloom for me. And this was a bit of a disappointment because, with my hand in here, of the small bloom size on this. That's just, for me, it's just small. And so this is a Cattleya, no fragrance that I can tell right now. And it's a small bloom, and so I'm not real excited about this. But while I'm over here, I do want to show you some other stuff. So as I go up here, I have most of my dens that are on my shelf here, and I've got some blooms. And what happens is the dens grow pretty well here. So I got them growing up into, just up into my bougainvillea as we kind of track it up here. I got some more flowers back in there. I got flowers coming out there. I got flowers. I'm not even sure if you can see it. They should be right around in there somewhere. So they kind of just grow up into my bougainvillea. And this is, there's a lot of flowers here, and this is from it may even be from the same plant, so it's spread around quite a bit throughout my bougainvillea, which is up here on top of my shed. All right, so, and I'm going to turn the camera around really fast. Sorry, I don't want to get you dizzy, but then, well, here's one of the things that I always get excited about. And I don't know if you can see it. I'm having a hard time with focus today. Or I'm having a hard time seeing focus because it's so bright. But there's a monarch chrysalis right there on the bottom of that vanda leaf. And I saw that's just a couple of days old. It was up in there. I was fertilizing, and I thought, oh no, there's a monarch in there. But it formed a chrysalis, and so this is my vanda that's doing pretty well, mounted on the tree. And while I'm in the neighborhood, I got to show you this, because this is a root that I showed you in a video. And again, to give you an idea of scale, there's my hand in there, but that is a monster root coming out of that vanda right there. Okay, so I want to show you a couple more new blooms, and then that'll be it. Okay, and we're back. So I just got a couple of new blooms that I want to show you. This one that's open, and then I got another one that is, I'm going to tease you a little bit. It's not quite open yet, but this is first bloom for this Cattleya, and I'm going to slip in with the tag on this. So this is Memoria Bornanapan Nikon Sweet Orange. And this is from RF Orchids in Homestead. This has been kind of wanting to, this is what I think I want. Maybe I'd like, I think, a little bit more contrast in, or a little brighter orange or red in this flower, but this is still nice, and there's fragrance associated with it. And I do have to show you, I'm focusing in on the one flower, I do have to show you this flower, and because of the frilliness of this flower, the lip was caught up in the middle of the flower. It was actually stuck behind the anther cap. So this is not a great flower there, but this is a nice flower. I wish it would open a little bit more. I wish it would be flatter. But this actually is a cultivar, and this is sweet orange. So I'm hoping that and I'm not going to pollinate these, but I did save the pollinia from this one. So what I'm hoping is that the next time that this thing blooms, it's going to open up a little bit flatter, and it's going to be a little nicer. Okay, so that's that one right there. And I'm going to move on and tease you a little bit with this one that is called, I'll take a look at the name first. So this is Tainan Golden Oriole, again from RF Orchids. And this isn't open yet, but this will probably be tomorrow. This is going to be pretty cool. So this is a yellow with kind of an unusual striping or coloration in the throat, which is red. We'll see what this looks like when it opens up completely. But I've been waiting for this to open. It's not there yet. Again, it hasn't unfolded. It's got some frilliness in the flower, and we'll see what this develops into. So I'll keep you updated of that. That's all I have for today. I just wanted to give you an update. We'll take a look at this one next time, and I've got some other newer blooms coming out on this guy, and there's a lot going on here. So we'll keep on making videos and posting. There's some really unique things I want to show you about this guy next time. Okay, so that's all I have for today. If you liked what you saw today and you want to keep on seeing it, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. All right, so that's all that I have for today. Happy propagating.